Welcome to my basement, everybody. How are you all doing out there? Thank you so much for joining me on this very soggy. Is it Tuesday today, Blake?
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. Okay, I actually woke up this morning. I said, "What day is it? What's happening?" Some days we get super busy.
We're getting an echo, Vic.
We get no crazy echo.
Crazy echo.
Okay, where's the echo coming from?
Where are we having?
I don't know. We're doing some testing here. 1 second. Where's the echo coming from?
I don't know.
There's Blake.
Hi, everyone.
Blake's head right there.
We don't have desktop on. Maybe this is on?
Ah, right. Okay.
Maybe, no, that's, I don't know.
What do you think the echo's coming from?
I don't know.
The internet is amazing.
It was fine when I tested it.
Internet streaming
I swear to God, it sounded good when I tested it.
for the win.
Let me see.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Hold on, I'm gonna pop on the chat onto the TV, which will make my life easier. There we go.
I
Don't know why. Okay, I can see everybody there. Blake's head from Vaz Vegas says hi to Blake's head. No echo here either. Wait a sec, sounds good to me. Retro Cabeza, no echo, reverb here. So Finite Joy, I'm sorry. Do we sound good?
Okay, I figured out the problem. We're good.
Everything's good.
I
Okay.
had 2 streams open on my computer.
Okay, so it's just you that had the echo.
Yes.
Okay. Woo! Oh, wait a second. Now it's on my phone. So this is what happens when you have so many screens all the way around you. Okay, I think that was the testing shit out portion of the program. You know, we like to have that every episode of Vic's Basement, and thank you so much for tolerating that. It's part of how we get to start rolling, how we get the show rolling every time we do this. But it's awesome to see you. I've got Doy Owen, Ben Doig, Powder Keg, Blair Farrell, JBJ Blaze and TFA, Blake Siefkin. He's saying, haha, sorry, everyone. Okay, Blake, we forgive you, buddy. And Sean Lysick, Vic sounds great. Blake sounds, oh, he's being mean right there. Word up, Finite Joy. How you doing? Good to see everybody here. So I can actually read all of that stuff. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cover myself up a little bit there and look over here because I can see myself on the TV and it's weird. Okay, so we have some cool stuff to talk about today. A little bit heartbreaking, a little bit violent and crazy, but definitely cool and interesting. And these are crazy times, and it is super fun to get into this chat. So I'm going to review The Punisher, and we're going to talk about that in a second because I streamed all 13 episodes over the weekend. And I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. But I think the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get into some Justice League conversation here. And I'm running the Film Fury review behind me on the TV, so don't be confused. I think I'm wearing the same shirt. Jesus, I need some new shirts. My whole wardrobe is supplied by Loot Crate these days. I need to get out and shop and get some new shirts. Anyways. Justice League, if you watched our review on Film Fury, John did not like the movie. I thought it was better than John, but we were both not blown away, let's put it mildly, about Justice League. It's not horrible. It's not Batman versus Superman or Suicide Squad sort of level of ridiculousness. It's pretty ridiculous, but not that bad. But it failed, I think, to meet expectations and connect with audiences the way that Warner Brothers and DC really hoped it would. And I love this Vaz Vegas testing shit out segment brought to you by Vancouver Film School, which is awesome. It's crazy. Anyways, Justice League, it comes out and it has all the superheroes are in there, Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman, the Trinity. We get a new Flash, we get Cyborg, and we get Aquaman. So lots and lots of really respected, well-known actors populate this thing. But it is a lot of clutter, a lot of mess, and it's all kind of squished together, lots of different ideas. And I just felt in my review that it was too much of a rush. Like they were just stumbling all over each other to get to Tariq Satter. Thank you so much, man. Partial refund for your Justice League ticket. Oh, you rock. It was just you could see the machinations, you could see the money behind the scenes just racing to get this thing out. And obviously, it's a business. We're not fools. We understand they have to make their budgets back. And so much of our discussion around Hollywood is, how these things open, their box office, what they cost, what this actor made, yada, yada. And money becomes a part of the equation. But when art transcends, or when the fun takes over, when you stop thinking about that stuff, is when a movie is really working. And I don't think you really do when you're watching Justice League. I think you watch Justice League with a lot of hope in your eyes and in your heart, and you think, oh my God, is this where DC is going to turn the corner? Are they going to lift on the momentum that they created with Wonder Woman? And you watch it, and it's not an out-and-out disaster, but you can certainly see the polarizing kind of leadership of Joss Whedon and Zack Snyder kind of tearing me apart, Lisa. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not the movie that I think either one of these directors, who are competent directors and have both built great things in their past, I don't think either one of them is probably very satisfied with the way things turned out, and I don't think the actors probably were all that satisfied. And so you come away from Justice League, and despite how entertained you are by it, I think you come away with at least a modicum of feeling sorry for the movie, or apologizing, or regretfulness about the movie. I don't feel like it's one of these superhero flicks that's just so transcendent and evocative of the potential of the genre, and it's a goddamn crying shame, because this is one of the biggest possibilities and the biggest opening, biggest opportunities for Hollywood to kind of get it right, and I don't feel that they did. And I don't know how many of you went out to see it, but I feel like we are in for some big changes on Justice League. And I want you, if you can, I know it's kind of a pain in the ass, and I wish there was somewhere I could pop up a bunch of windows and have you, instantly sort of take part in this chat, and I could bounce between them. We don't have that kind of, we barely can get me talking in real time without everything crashing to a halt around here. But I want to read some of your reflections on Justice League and your thoughts on how the weekend transpired, what your thoughts were on the box office, and if you like Justice League enough that you are excited about what Warner Brothers and DC could be doing here, or the inverse of that. Tell me some of your thoughts and trepidations, and maybe some ideas that you might have about how WB and Warner Brothers can fix this. Because it's a mess, and it's kind of shocking. $93 million was the weekend box office for the film. I don't want to roll that entire discussion into that. I think the movie has problems. None of these superhero movies are utter perfection. I would say that the beginning Nick Fury chunk of Avengers was kind of tedious, but then it really started to pick up some amazing steam, and I think that was one of those movies where you're yelping in the theater and can't believe what you're seeing. I think X-Men 2 kind of delivered some of that sort of exultation, that like, oh my God, we are just seeing a comic book ripped up on screen there, just ripped up out of the comic pages and put up on screen. Batman did a little bit of that with Tim Burton. I think Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi movie, did a little bit of that as well. I think Superman the movie, but none of them I think are, frame one to the end of the movie absolutely perfect. But I want to hear your thoughts on Justice League. And before I start reading some of that, and I will go back in the chat and read this, and honestly, if you're listening to this later, or watching this as an archive video on our YouTube channel, please, if you've got thoughts on this, I want to read them. So stick them on the comment section, or tweet at me, or I want to hear about this. But I got a great question from Kyle from Mr. Precision, basically wanting to get my thoughts on how I would fix everything, and I want to read his question. I sent it to Blake, and I didn't do a question of the day today because I was in a bit of a rush around mode this morning. I had a meeting that I had to get to. If I was in charge of the WBDC universe, what would I do next? Would it be a bad thing if they just made a good solo movies on their own, or forget about a large MCU-like universe? And it's an awesome question. It's a very provocative question. I'll try to respond to it. And I know a lot of you may not like to hear where I go with this. And I put a little bit of thought into this, and I'll kind of try to relay this. But I feel like Ben Affleck was a terrible choice from the beginning. Not because he's not capable, not because he doesn't look good in the suit, and not because the suit is the best suit we've seen on film. All of that is true. But I think Ben Affleck is he's kind of this force of nature in the movie business, and he kind of has to be catered to in order to sort of feed his prominence within the picture, within the landscape of whatever he's involved with. And that's not a comment on him. It's not a comment on his ego or any of that stuff. It's just his positioning within anything that you're involved with. And he is such an overshadowing, box office success. Along the way, he has had much success. He had some failures and stuff. That I think it was a poor decision. I think that it was a decision based on clout and expectation. And I don't think that it's been realized to its fullest potential. And I think that he is not comfortable in the role. And I think that we can see that when we see him on screen. And we see it when he's in interviews, and we see it in the conversations that he has around this thing. And I feel like that was a tragic element in the formation of these properties. Not saying that Affleck ruined Batman versus Superman at all, and not saying that he's the worst part of Justice League, but I feel like because he's such a tip the scales kind of personality in this universe, it creates an imbalance in the whole sort of ecosystem. And I feel like DC should have discovered their Batman in the same way that they bet on Henry Cavill as their Superman, who I think is okay. I don't think he's a marvelous actor. And the more I see him, the more I'm sort of coming to the realization that he's in that okay box. I hope he surprises me in the next Mission Impossible movie. But I think they found lightning in a bottle with Gal Gadot. Certainly Warner Brothers and DC did that with Christopher Reeve, who I think is the penultimate, casting decision in the superhero world. And certainly Marvel has had great success with their Iron Man and their Cap and their Thor, and now their Spider-Man, and the list actually goes on quite a bit with Marvel. But I feel like the decision to put Affleck in these movies created undue pressure on everybody. And it's unfortunate because I feel like with that pressure, there becomes this vacuum of fun. And that vacuum of fun can be felt when you watch the movies. It's not just about tone. It's not just about the framing. It's not just about the coloring. It's also, and it's not just about the marketing. It's you can, as human beings, I think we're receptors to this kind of thing, and we can feel when it's just not taken off. And so the first thing that I would do is just let Ben Affleck out of his contract, and I would recast, and I would find somebody that is going to be with the role for a while. I think it's weird that Affleck starts his career as Batman, and he's kind of an old, haggard guy that's ready to quit and kill. And I think that was a poor choice on the creative vision for Batman versus Superman. I think they jumped the gun to go right to the Frank Miller era Batman instead of letting us breathe with this character for a little bit. So that would be step one. And step two would be, let's put the brakes on any Justice League films where they're all together until every single one of these characters that's even alluded to, and spoiler alert, there's some, can I say something about spoiler? Can I spoil a little bit? It's only been out a weekend. Okay, plug your ears, okay? I'm gonna spoil something that you could probably anticipate anyways, but plug your ears. But they sort of allude to the Green Lanterns and the new Green Lanterns in Justice League now. So every single one of these characters that is hinted at, suggested, that has weight in the Justice League universe should absolutely get the same treatment and the same artistic vision, not the same artistic, but the same amount of leverage and unique vision as Wonder Woman just received under Patty Jenkins. And every one of these, like Cyborg and Flash and Aquaman, and we're going to get the Aquaman next year, whether we want it or not. But they all should come out before we even hint. I mean, we should get another Superman movie for sure. Don't call it Man of Steel 2. I think distance yourself from what has come and start rebuilding. I don't think you have to recast Henry Cavill. Gal Gadot is good. She's terrific as Wonder Woman. I think all the actors actually are pretty solid. Ezra Miller had too much responsibility on his shoulders and again, under the microscope because they have such a great Flash and Grant Gustin. But yes, let's make all of these things happen. If Flashpoint is the way that they reboot everything, then so be it. But yeah, I would stay far the hell away from another Justice League movie for probably the better part of a decade, like 6 or 7 years. We do not need a sequel to this movie. Let us get to know these characters, and especially, incredibly importantly, the villains that exist in this incredible DC universe. Let's really get to know them as individual creations in individual films, and let's really fear them. Let's let them have that cinematic power that the Joker has had and Lex Luthor has had. And frankly, I think the Penguin was actually really well represented as Danny DeVito. I think Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman was incredible. And then things started to really they didn't really live up to opportunity or potential after that. Even Ra's al Ghul in Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins, which is an amazing movie, but he's not the villain he should be in that movie, So I think it's really important for Warner Brothers and DC to kind of slow down and give us each one of these stories, each one of these characters, and give us a villain that's not all just CG, that's not just, sort of by the numbers. He's going to explode the world and everybody's got to team up because they're contractually obligated to. We have to do that, right? Like, who the fuck is Steppenwolf, LOL, from Leaf Fan B? So I think if they do that, because there was enough cool stuff hinted at in Justice League, and anybody that has seen the film can see that there's some pretty cool stuff in there. But I think if they do that, and then 7 years from now or 8 years from now they say Justice League 2 is coming, I think we'll be excited by that. Okay, I'm going to read a couple of these things. Thanks everybody for jumping on the chat and responding. I figured that Mr. Precision's tweet was going to be worth almost its own podcast, and also all of this Justice League news. I don't want to represent that I hate Justice League or I hate DC or Warner Brothers. I love DC. That was my first comic book love, honestly, is the world of DC Comics and Batman, of course. But I know I've got the Spider-Man down there. It's because I love this thing. But I freaking love DC Comics, and I've loved a lot of the DC movies over the years. Superman is still, it's one of my favorite films of all time, the Superman the movie with Christopher Reeve. So, and I love the Burton Batmans, and I loved 2 of the 3 Christopher Nolan Batmans. I loved Wonder Woman. They got it in them. They just need to buckle down, slow down, really spend some money on CG, and deliver these things. Make them masterpieces. Okay. I'm going to read some Justice League stuff. Let's see. I'm just glad the Justice League comics haven't sunk this low, or DC Comics in general. Doomsday Clock, Finite Joy is still reading the comics and digging it. Arthritic Zombie says Whedon's reshoots don't jive with Snyder's foundation. Ain't that the truth? Newt Origami, why not a Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton training a new Batman? DC should reinvent their heroes and not follow Marvel. I think that's great. I actually think, I know you guys are going to think I'm totally ridiculous and biased here, but I honestly feel like Harrison Ford as an old Batman would be absolutely incredible in a Batman Beyond movie. They probably would never do that because he's in too many things, but he's great. Undone14 says, oh, hi, Vic. Why did Zack Snyder get another chance after Batman vs. Superman? It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Zack Snyder now. I don't think he'll be involved in any capacity with DC stuff after this. Um, and even Joss Whedon too. I mean, all the sexual stuff that blew up in Joss Whedon's face this year could be DC's way of separating from him on the whole Batgirl thing and everything as well. I mean, this is going to be a change. Like there's no way that news like this, even though it's made some pretty decent money internationally, there's no way that this won't impact decisions on what happens now. I'll be shocked if Ben Affleck does another Batman movie. Watching the credits and saw Ben Affleck's assistant had an assistant. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, he's too titanic an individual, and hats off to him and his great success in Hollywood. But you don't hire that dude and then cover his face up and in a Batman costume. You either shock the sort of casting world or the fandom world with the decision, like Michael Keaton did, and surprise everybody to the the benefit of the movie, like Michael Keaton did, or you find your Gal Gadot, Christopher Reeve, Batman that's going to be there for a while. Danny Barzagar said, I heard Affleck, sorry if I butcher anybody's names, heard Affleck is giving up Batman and they are looking at Jake Gyllenhaal for the new Batman, and it is just a rumor. I don't want Jake Gyllenhaal to be Batman. It's the same goddamn thing. They can't go from one famous guy to another famous guy. Make it a person that's up and coming, solid, respected, and give them an opportunity. I know that you equate the star status with the box office. It's the way that Hollywood runs. But Batman transcends all of that stuff, and it hasn't worked out, when they cast George Clooney, meh. When they cast Val Kilmer, meh. When they cast Ben Affleck. I mean, Christian Bale is another great example. He had some great choices in that thing. The Batman voice was kind of nuts, but he was really physically cool and there and realistic and believable. But he was also not so famous that he couldn't just inhabit that character, and we believe in him. And he didn't have so much baggage. He kind of created his baggage when he did that Terminator Salvation flick. But he's a hell of an actor, too. Movie was fun, M. Power says. Yeah, there's definitely some really fun pieces in there. There is some really good stuff in there. What else we got here? I thought it was a goodish movie, Niv Laksura. Newt Origami says, why not Michael Keaton back as old Batman? Yeah, we talked about that a bit. Just felt cluttered and manic, Spencer O says, like a bad Saturday morning cartoon. Yeah, it's like, okay, we got to jump right to some big battle scene because we've had enough talking bits. And it's, you've got to do that in these superhero flicks for sure, but it should have upended everything and surprised us with its choices. Instead, it was very derivative and predictable, and it was okay. A Justice League movie should not just be okay. The movies keep disappointing, but the characters almost seem untarnishable. The hope will never die. Of course not, Sean Lysak. These characters have survived 75 years, some of them, 76, 77 years, some of them. And they're permanent fixtures in popular culture. We want to believe in augmented and superpowered and otherworldly individuals, and put our faith for humanity and imbue these characters with that. They're the greater good, against the greater evil, and it's that kind of storytelling has survived forever. Since the dawn of storytelling, that sort of mythic kind of storytelling. These are our mythic heroes of the age, and we finally have the craftspeople and the technology to build these things and make them look realistic. And I feel like, one of the things that I think sort of hampers DC, they had two, like obviously there's this race, right, with Marvel and Warner and Disney. We have to kind of eat into that market share. We have these huge properties. We have to go. But there's also this Shakespearean seriousness about the way, and this I think is true of DC in general. These characters are just so untouchable and unchangeable, untarnishable. And that partially goes to the fandom and our expectations of what they're going to put up on screen, but also the way that DC manages these things. And I feel like, I think we're we're probably 20 years from DC being able to do what Marvel just did with Thor Ragnarok, where they basically turned it into a buddy comedy, which not everybody liked, and I can appreciate that. And I thought it was great, but I actually loved the first two Thor movies because they introduced me to a character I really knew nothing about, and I thought they were handled really well. Um, but I feel like DC is just so super serious about its work, almost in the same way that Star Wars, like Lucas and the Star Wars creators were with the prequels, where they had lots of people kind of just standing around with serious faces talking about serious things. And it kind of shut things off from regular folks, It kind of made a lot of just regular moviegoers go, well, where's the fun? Like, what happened? Why is everybody talking about, taxes and trade tariffs and why are these robots so Roger? Anyways, I feel like DC has now this open door to really shake things up. And some things that I did like. I did like the direction that Snyder and Momoa are going with Aquaman. Don't really know too much about the character, but I love James Wan. I think he's a great director. Now he's directing the new Aquaman movie, and I also really am charmed by Momoa. I think he's this unique individual that deserves his celebrity and his star. He has obvious star power. So I'm excited to see what happens with this Aquaman movie. I hope it's great. I really, really hope it doesn't suck because I think it's fun. I think that is shaking up the traditional sort of ideas of what Aquaman is. Cyborg, I think Ray Fisher did. I forgot his name. I think it was when I did the review. I think it was partially the way the character just felt kind of afterthought-ish in the picture. I didn't really think about Cyborg, but when I see bits and pieces of his performance, I see that he was well cast. He's got a commanding, sort of empathetic kind of rooted, grounded performance. With this guy that's just had his whole world all shaken up. But we have to kind of sort of, in the context of the film, sort of supply all of that knowledge and that background based on us reading, or me reading, and it's probably some of you, Teen Titans comics and knowing Cyborg's backstory. But I like Cyborg, and I don't know what will happen now based on the box office here, but I would be interested in a good Cyborg flick for sure. Same goes with the Flash, although less so because we're getting a great Flash episode every week. They're not always great. Okay. Warco A says DC equals dumpy content. Ooh, shots fired. Quantum Mass, dude, 93 million domestically. That's a lot of money. It's not bad at all. It's now almost making as much as Wonder Woman worldwide right now. It is not bad at all, but it is significantly less than Batman vs. Superman launched at $166 million. And then Suicide Squad made, I think, $133 million. So for Justice League, which is supposed to be the culmination, the crown jewel of Warner Brothers, to make less than $100 million at box office in its opening weekend, and the word of mouth is not that great, and the critical reception is not that great, it's going to drop quickly. And I think there's probably concern that it won't make its money back. Apparently, it has to cross 600, 700 million for it to earn the 300 million plus all the extra costs back. I mean, it will make its money back, no question, after the extended cut Blu-rays and the 4K releases, and it will find life. But it's not the sensation that every DC fan on earth and every executive at Warner Brothers and every honestly, every actor that's playing a superhero right now wants this thing to be. I don't think anybody wanted this to not be great. I think we all wanted this thing to be amazing and do amazingly well. Pulled 281 globally over the weekend. Overseas markets is where WB will get its profits for sure. I'm happy for those who enjoyed these movies, but personally couldn't care less about superhero movies. Probably not even when it's on Netflix. Call me when there's a good Justice League video game. I hear that, Doy Owen. Unfortunately, the longer it takes for these companies to kind of fly into pop culture with, grand success with these kinds of things, the longer it will take for video game companies to take those risks and those investments again. We've seen how long it's taken Square Enix to back the Marvel horse and Insomniac with their Spider-Man game. we've had a big gap. You know, even when Rocksteady said, "Look, we can make awesome licensed properties. Look at how incredible their Batman games are." Even those did not, catalyze the rest of the video game space to go, "Oh my God, yeah, look, video games are superheroes. Why don't we just work with these superheroes and make awesome, you know, superhero games?" Like I've really been thinking about that next level Captain America title. I really want to play that again. I want to get back into these shoes, and I've been having a blast with Lego Marvel Superheroes too. I'm going to talk about that in a second here. Definitely rushed project from Powder Keg. They brought up Red Letter Media Review that the movie was focus tested too much to give exactly what they wanted. Yeah, absolutely. Red Letters, they're brilliant over there. They have dialogue in the movie about how he's too old to be there. I thought it was a bad idea to have Batman front and center to begin with. Blair Farrell, yep. He's a better Batman than Bale, Quartermass, X. I think physically he is. I think they should have said, look, he's an almost 40 Batman. He's not the Dark Knight Returns Batman. He should have just been at the top of his game, quite frankly. He should be a confident Batman. Instead, he's a sad, sulking, kind of dumb Batman. And it's not Affleck, and it's not his capabilities. It's the way that he's written. And I said that about Batman versus Superman, and I say that again here. He's showing everybody his secret identity. He's not outthinking anybody. And that's not Batman. Batman outthinks everybody. That's the most powerful thing he's got. It's not his wealth. It's not his gadgets. It's not his ninja skills or any of that crap. It's his mind. He can outthink everyone. And he's 10 steps. He's a tactician. He's the world's greatest detective. They haven't shown any of that stuff. Okay. He didn't growl like Bale. A couple more. Cavill is great as Superman. DB won't let there be a great Superman. He seems so jolly and friendly in real life, and he's so dour in the DC. Yeah, that's good feedback there, and good observation, Blair Farrell. Wonder Woman should have been the center hero of Justice League. Who's with me, or who wants to sue me? I think Wonder Woman should have. I mean, she's the heart of the movie, and she should have definitely taken the leadership role. My idea for DC Universe: bring back Christopher Nolan. Nolan won't come back, especially now. Tom Hardy as the new Batman. Wow, that's brave. Hi, Fred Wicks. Hi, Vic. I saw you Justice League Saturday, 3D showing, and there were 10 other people in the theater. 10 people. Domestic box office must be horrendous. Not horrendous, but definitely not where everybody wants it to be. Okay, I'm skipping down here because I want to talk about some other things here too. Vic, what do you think of the Punisher Netflix series? Well, I'm going to get into that in 1 second. Let's see if Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms. Okay, there we go, Blair Farrell. Good job. Best thing about Justice League is it made me want to play Injustice 2. Now there is your Justice League. Injustice 2, holy shit, is that an incredible game. Tom Hardy is already playing Venom. I think, yeah, he's probably tapped out on the superhero stuff, Tom Hardy. You get 2, and that's it, right? I don't think you get to do more. Do a flip. Rightful Dig wants me to do a flip. Can't do that. Okay, let's talk about the Punisher. Let me load up some Punisher vids here. 1 second. All right, so let's review Season 1 of the Punisher. I've just got a bunch of the trailers and stuff rolling behind me. Very dark show. Holy crap. The Punisher is one of the most gruesome things I've seen. It goes so far over the top with its violence that after a while you become as numb to it as Frank Castle is. And he honestly, he shoots people in the head and it's like nothing. It's just like poof to the character. And you know why that is. You can understand how he got to that level of detachment and ferocity. But I, as a viewer, started to go, how have we come so far that we can watch entertainment like this and it doesn't register at all? Like people's faces getting splattered and smashed in, and at one point somebody has, actually I don't want to spoil too much, but somebody gets their face beat in such a horrific way a couple times, but it's shocking. But I will say that, now I'm blanking, John Bernthal. John Bernthal is unbelievable to watch as the Punisher. He is just such an incredible actor. And I mean, He wears every emotion on his sleeve. Or on his face, on his, like his heart is right there. You can understand all of his motivations. He's almost got this sort of, animal sort of roar to him as he's about to kind of, sort of square up and deal out the damage that he was kind of put on this earth to do. And he just is this ferocious monster when he gets going, and he's like, and it's frightening, it's freaky, and I can't imagine that the other actors working with him, they probably went home and had nightmares, because he so inhabits these boots of this tragic soldier. And as we saw with Daredevil season 2, he was I think the best part about Daredevil season 2. His story is just horrendous. It's just awful, and you can see the rationalizations and his reality. Just forces him over the edge, and he's got to go off and do all of this stuff, and he makes it believable and understandable, but also incredibly horrific. Like especially if you're sitting there and you're trying to rationalize all of this stuff. There's a visceral quality to this that you can't deny, for sure. I mean, just the idea of slaughtering your enemies as efficiently as Frank Castle does. This visceral thrill that sort of percolates in your mind thinking about what it would be like to do that. Sure. But the movie is also, ballsy enough to, throw in a discussion about gun control right in the middle of it. And I just thought, holy Christ, especially with all of the, all of the real life gun violence happening on the news all the time, and all this people fetishizing the AR-15 and all these horror stories, and then right in the middle of this incredibly violent, incredibly brutal show where so much carnage happens at the end of a bullet. We have this senator that shows up on this radio show with Karen Page, Deborah Ann Wall, who's terrific. Oh God, I'm forgetting her name. But she is one of the cornerstones of the Marvel Netflix kind of pillar, and and she's in all the shows or a bunch of the shows, and she's just great. I just like watching her pieces with everybody. And she's got a real empathetic heart towards Frank Castle, and knows that his story is an awful one. And but she's also a concealed carry permit holder, and she's packing, and she has a radio show, and she has this kind of discourse with this senator, and right in the middle of all of these guns firing in this show. And I just thought, holy man, the writers and producers and creators of this are afraid of nothing, because obviously this is a show that intellectually will get you thinking about that. It's like, how is this show registering with its audience? I think it's a successful show in the way that it takes a comic book creation and makes it kind of relatable, and you can connect to it. But it's also a challenging show, because this is now a superhero, in quotations, that is more about sort of survival and destruction and death than that superhero kind of moniker kind of allows for. We don't see the other heroes taking out guns and shooting people in the face, but the Punisher sure does. And you question a lot of this stuff as you're watching it. Not that you feel for it, but I can tell you, as a comic book fan, when I was growing up, I stood by the credo of Batman. This is a guy that would break fingers and arms and legs and just bloody noses and stuff like that, but he would be abhorrent to pick up a gun. He would never do that. He abhorred guns, and that was the superhero that I identified with. And so I always found it really uncomfortable to think of any of these vigilantes. And on the on the DC side, there was the vigilante, and then there was Deathstroke. I think they kind of played with sometimes, Slade Wilson, where he was kind of a good guy and kind of a bad guy, I think, in answer to the popularity of the Punisher. But the Punisher was not somebody that I went, oh my God, I got to read every issue of this. I gotta know everything about this guy. Not somebody that, I didn't grow up on the streets of New York, and I didn't, for myself, project this kind of I will take down my enemies at all costs kind of hero worship around these characters that I dug in the comic books. So I never gravitated towards the Punisher, and I've seen the other movies. I thought Thomas Jane's Punisher was actually pretty damn solid. But I don't think anything holds a candle to the commitment that John Bernthal has got, and particularly because they stretch his story across so many episodes. And I think that ultimately becomes a bit of a problem in this show because so much of the show is about snap decisions and quickly dealing with situations as they come up. And there's an elegance to the choreography as Frank invariably gets shot 17 times or 18 times per episode and still manages to survive somehow. And it's remarkable to see how much carnage is, passed on to him. As much as he kills everybody, he gets hurt a lot, and he did in the Daredevil season as well. But I felt like that got stretched a little too thin. We went on a little too long, and so by the end of the season, as the Punisher obviously is taking his ultimate revenge on the awful bad guys in the show, it's like, okay, all right, I just don't. You stop caring about all of the payback that the Punisher gets. I have to say that I don't think the show would be anywhere near as good as it is. I just looked up his name without Eben Moss Bachrach. I think that's how you pronounce it. Microchip. The guy's incredible. Some of the best acting I've seen on television in ages. He's just so good. He's the heart and soul. He's the conscience. He is a source of virtue. He wants to do the right thing. He gets placed into a tremendous amount of jeopardy because he does. He puts his family in jeopardy. And, he represents, I think, the good in Frank Castle. He's like this anchor, this connection to hopefulness. The last one, honestly, that Frank Castle probably has in his story in the show. And God, he's just great to watch. And the scenes between Bernthal and Bachrach, I don't know how I'm saying his name, but they're just fantastic. Riveting stuff, natural and beautifully performed, really well written. I also liked all of Microchip's family and the way that they carried all their stuff. I thought that was fantastic. And the other standout, I actually liked Amber Rose Riva as Medini, who plays this Homeland security head who has got the Punisher in her target. She's really solid and committed and tough as nails. And fun to watch, and you can see her motivations in all those scenes. But the other one was Ben Barnes, who plays Billy Bishop, I think is the last name, or I can't remember. He eventually becomes Jigsaw, and I'm spoiling a little bit there. But he is amazing in the show as well. He's a great villain because he's so charming, and you kind of believe that this guy's got some virtue, and he is a real friend to Frank Castle. And he's just great. He's such a creepy freak by the end of it that you're like, oh my God, this is going to be a great showdown. And it turns out to be a pretty great showdown at the end. I really, really like this show. I think if this was 10 episodes, this would probably be my favorite of, surprise, surprise. It's a horrifying premise, and there's some dark stuff in there that's probably a little too dark even for me. And I've seen dark things to kind of enjoy, but I feel like what happens is you just get numb to it by the sheer length of the episodes. And there's a lot of rehashing, right? When you get into 13 episodes, you're kind of going over story beats, and you're kind of reminding people why this person has got this desire to go this route for so long, and we see scenes kind of play out over and over again. And I think if they had made this 10 episodes, it'd be my favorite of the Marvel series. I think it's a pretty clearly focused, clear direction, very realistic kind of slant on an area that could exist in the Marvel space, but it exists almost in solitude. It exists almost within its own reality. It doesn't seem to connect at all with the rest of the Marvel. Like, I just cannot picture Tom Holland swooping through as Spider-Man inside of the Punisher's New York. It just doesn't seem to correlate with me. Um, but still, great stuff. And Bernthal, he destroys. He's great, man. He's really, really good. Microchip is portrayed well. Great backstory, Fred Wicks says. Oh, and I did like Billy's Assassin's Creed Hidden Blade, Blake Siefkin. Yeah, good comment right there. Billy was great in this thing. Let's see what else we got. Walking Dead fell off after Shane's death. There you go. That's a deep cut talking about early days with Bernthal on it. Victor, the Punisher actually made me pass out. That one beating in episode 12, you know the one, was the final straw for me. I tried to get up, walk away from the TV, and I collapsed on the floor. Yeah, I mean, it's a little indulgent in its violence, but it has to kind of connect with the gruesomeness that's portrayed in the comics, you know, and I think it tries to go that far. Dark Vic, scary thought. I've seen and read lots of stuff. Oh, I'm trying to scroll with this. I have too many mice and screens in front of me. Let's see what else we got in here. Well, he used to abhor guns. Then there's his vehicles with guns attached. J. Blaze and TFA. Yeah, one of my main problems with the Batman as portrayed in recent movies is, yeah, he's blasting and shooting away at everybody. Need a Punisher versus Deadpool movie. See that? It's weird, right? Because like Bernthal's Punisher is great, but I just can't see it anywhere else in the MCU, and you know, it just doesn't fit. You know, there's nothing light about it. The guy is bleak. He's so dark. Hold on, I'm getting a call here. Let's see, 1 second. I just have to see who this is. Give me 1 second here. Okay. We talked long about Justice League, and it's you know what? I have to get going pretty soon here. I think I have time for one or two more comments, and then I gotta go. Let me just say, okay, I will be there. Okay, boom. All right. You are the coolest reviewer I ever met. Is this my mom? Is this my mom? Classified NSA Brain Project. Fine, I enjoy Victor. Oh, maybe pass out. Yes, that's a great comment. I really enjoyed Greg Rucka's take on the Punisher, where the Punisher was almost a secondary character, and the book was more about how the world reacts to the character. He is, you know, he's so frightening. He's like a split from the Hulk in a way, right? Like he's a monster. There's no other way to describe him, you know. No, I've got to go pick up my daughter, D9000. Thanks for another great stream, Victor Lucas. Father Hubby Duty called. Doy Owen, you called that right. Never was keen on Punisher. I like the altruism of Spider-Man more. You know what, though? Like, the one thing that the Punisher does, because he's so real, and he's not even, like, John Wick, I think they play that with, for real in a lot of ways, you know, with practical effects and stunts and stuff. And there's an element of that in the Punisher, but it goes to a whole other level. Like the Wick movies have a sense of comedic edge, which makes them easier to, you know, on the palate. The Punisher is kind of an acquired taste, you know. It's like 13 episodes of the shovel scene from Casino, you know, and it's hard to watch, and then it just is numbing. And then you're just appreciative of the commitment, and and you also feel it for yourself. It's like, geez, good on you. You stuck through 13 hours of that just pummeling. You know, that's why I tweeted last night, the second season. Yeah, Adrian Leon, I will talk about Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 another time. Maybe I'll stream some more tonight. But it's amazing. Can I just say that? I'm loving, and what an antithesis to the Punisher. It's been weird to flip and flop between them. But the Punisher is so bleak that it makes you appreciate the lighter things in the comic book space and in the Marvel space. JBJ Blaze, thanks for giving me stuff to look forward to, although I haven't seen it, only got through episode 1, but then had to catch up with other shows, plan to finish The Punisher myself. Yeah, I really dig The Punisher. I guess we reviewed it together, kind of, which is cool. I like this. I like being able to read comments and chat with you guys. But I really, really like The Punisher. They did some great stuff with it. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10, and I have got to go, my friends. I've got a daughter to go and pick up. So I'm going to call it right there. But thank you all so much for watching, listening, or watching the archive of this. Your comments and your support and your sponsorship and all of that I love you guys. Thank you so much. And we'll be back soon with another Vic's Basement. Okay? Take it easy, everybody.